Robb Rocket's interests are all over the place. He's into mid-century pop culture, burlesque, hot rod, tiki, contemporary street art, and comic art. He describes himself as an eccentric, lowbrow artist. How do I describe him? As a friend I'm proud to know, and a really cool guy to be around. Robb is just, well, groovy, man. I'm on the way to his home studio where he lives and creates alongside his talented and lovely wife Roswell. Her art is super cool too. Hopefully I'll get a chance to browse through their shop and studio to see what Robb Rocket is masterminding at the moment. He and Roswell have opened their online gallery named Retro Mod Studio, and I believe Robb has a show coming up in the next few months that will be on display at the Henderson Fine Arts Gallery at San Juan College. Robb is way into hot rods. My truck sounds good, but I had to run by Blue Diamond Auto Spa to get it to look good too. We're going to grab some coffee, drive through town, and chat about art and how Robb Rocket takes the craziness that's born in his head and turns it into coolness. Want to see how it goes? Come along for the ride in Ken's Think Tank. All right, we're ready for coffee?
Sure.
Whose is that?
That truck belongs to a guy, I can't remember his name, 37 Chevy. And it's odd that small town.
Yeah.
Last night, I'm not kidding you, at Buffalo Wild Wings,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there having a beer and some wings. This guy comes up and he says, "Hey, how's the van running?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not right now. I'm putting some, doing some work on it." He goes, "Look what I got," and he shows me a picture on his phone of that truck.
It's that truck? Yeah.
What are the odds? And today we see it. The very next day.
It's a small town.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So you you've been by 505 Motorsports, right?
Oh yeah, I go in there, looking around, drooling at the stuff. In fact, I was in there just the other day, looking at motorcycles and kind of been itching to. I've had choppers all for the last, I don't know, for years. I've built choppers and done this, and I thought, man, I'm gonna give me another crotch rocket. That's where I started out as a kid. So
Yeah.
went into 505. They had some pretty nice stuff in there, and pretty decent prices. You know, I was kind of impressed.
They rotated in pretty quickly, so
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of always changing. So
Yeah, and I like the uniqueness. It kind of, like that shop is probably the one in town that kind of fits in with what a lot of the hot rod guys, when they just bored and want something to go look at.
Right.
That guy's got some good
Yeah.
stuff out there. You
Yeah.
know, so.
yeah, a lot of people drop by just to take a peek, see what Clay's found recently.
Yeah.
So yeah. Hey, good.
What can I get for you?
Regular coffee
Okay.
and
You want medium or light roast? Light roast.
medium or light roast.
Whichever one's stronger.
The stronger one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or red mountain.
Yeah,
Okay.
Red Mountain will work.
And you want cream in that, sir?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Yeah.
Mocha. 16 with no whipped cream.
No whipped cream?
Right. Town.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
We just picked you up from your home and studio,
Yeah.
right? So do you have a studio other than what you have there?
No, we do have one bedroom in the house converted into a. We do painting and just sit around in there and listen to jazz or maybe some 80s music, whatever. Paint and then we have the shop behind the house is it's sizable. It's fully insulated. We do a lot of the woodworking stuff or sculpting, found object sculpting, that kind of stuff out there. And we try to get as prepared for winter as we can, getting frames and panels and stuff done. And then when winter rolls in, we usually just stay in the studio and paint. You know?
Right.
It's pretty good stuff.
It's kind of an awesome studio.
Thanks, man.
Everybody wants guys, especially, right?
Yeah.
We want that big shop like that.
Yeah.
And you've got your quite famous van in there.
Yeah.
That you're working on.
65 Chevy with the fins on top. The van actually was the fins thing started out as a joke.
Yeah.
And,
Just roll with it.
yeah, I had a little '62 Cadillac. Well, I shouldn't say little because that would kind of be a lie. But '62 Cadillac sitting in the driveway, and a buddy of mine said, "Man, it's too bad the van don't have fins the size of the Cadillac." I just happened to have a set of '61 Chrysler fins on the wall of the shop that I'd taken off of a parts car, and I said, "Man, we should put those on there." So about 2 beers and an hour later, we had her ready to go.
Now they're a permanent fixture.
Permanent fixture.
Yeah. Right on. So how long have you been an artist?
Oh, always. Day one. I guess. I don't know. When I was a kid back in school, I was not the most studious type, so I was always getting in trouble for drawing. I think it's like a maybe ADHD thing. Of course, you know, back then they didn't call it that. They called it Rob doesn't pay attention.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I always polluted my notebooks with drawings of cars and trucks and airplanes and spaceships, and you know, I was real big in Star Trek, and you know, back then the robots and all that. It's really kind of where it started.
Nice.
I was quite far along in my career. I was working in the oil field and been there for probably 5 or 6 years, and I just decided I'm gonna go be a graphic designer now. So quit my job, moved to Phoenix, and went to school.
So you got a degree then in graphic design?
Associates in communication design, graphic design.
Okay. So what's communication design?
I think it's a fancy word for advertising design. You know?
Nice.
It's like when you look at the paper, it's like, ooh,
communication designer.
It's really
nice.
Got going on right there.
Right on.
Yeah. After I graduated from school, I went to Al Collins over there in Tempe, and then I had a couple of just regular jobs, you know, trying to get things going, and then I did my own graphic design, freelanced for a few years, about 5 years, and I don't know, it was a pretty good gig, but it's, you know, being an artist full-time for a living is always a struggle, and I got a good job offer back up here, and so when I came back, I just had a regular day job, and then I started building choppers and you know, got all custom paint. I painted a couple for myself, airbrushing, pinstriping, all that. And then after I did a few of them, I started finding all my free time devoted to that craft. You know?
Right.
And I got into the hot rods and the, you know, all that stuff. And I did that for a number of years, probably 10, 12, 15 years, somewhere in there, you know. And I'd already been airbrushing since I was a kid, you know. We used to plastic models and little rockets and all that stuff. So I was pretty decent at it. And about, I don't know, after you do it for a long time, you realize that while your buddies are out riding their choppers, you're painting.
Right.
And you're not riding, and you're not having as much fun as they are. It's like, yeah, you know, I don't want to do this no more. So, you know, and my kids came along, wanted to spend time with them, so that's when I kind of started doing my own painting on canvas and the sculpting and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Kind of evolved from that.
Right.
You know, so. But yeah, I've been here my whole life, other than the stint over there in Arizona.
Right.
And came back, and then, like I said, the last few years, you know, I've been with the same job for the last 20 plus years with one of the local oil field companies, and so art has been a passionate hobby, and you know, it's also been a good money maker on the side from time to time, you know. And
in fact, that's how we met. It was years ago, right? We put together, it was at the beginning of the art walks.
It was, and it was actually my first full-size show in Farmington.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was kind of odd because at that time I was out of the custom paint scene, and I was doing these found object sculptures and stuff, and I bumped into Liz, who's like a phenomenal
Yeah.
person in our art community for
Definitely.
like helping people get going and you know, promoting shows, and she's just really been instrumental.
Right.
And so at that time I told Liz, I was like, you know, I think I'd like to maybe show some of this crazy stuff. And she's like, I got just the guy. And that's when you and I met.
Yeah.
And it was just fun because it was like I was a little inexperienced at the art show thing, and you know, and the show came off really beautiful, and it was like had a lot of people show up, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then that's kind of like you say, that's where you and I, that's where our friendship blossomed from that scene, you know.
That was a cool show though, man. I mean, you had like this huge, like, what was it, 6 or 8 feet tall, 6 feet tall, some like paintbrush.
Yeah, it was I was big into the pinstriping thing, and and so I decided to create this 6-foot pinstriping brush.
Yeah.
And so I did, and it's, you know, and then I did the bristles orange, and so I took orange tape
we
pinstriped the inside of the building. Remember that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Took that orange tape, and it looked like the big brush pinstriped the whole inside of the building where the show was at. Super cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
And then you had a UFO, like it was hanging. It was it was a big
it was
thing.
It was like 3 foot or something.
Yeah.
And it had a little dome on it, like typical some of those spaceships represent is kind of the B-movie sci-fi 50s and 60s stuff, because I love that stuff, and I wanted to kind of represent some of the cheese that those movies are, and I had a rat fink, like a little plastic rat
he was
fink
in the
flying the thing. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. And you made that thing out of, like, I remember one part of it, like these little antenna kind of things or whatever. You were saying they were sink plungers. Yeah, it was just found object.
Yeah,
stuff.
just stuff. I go second-handing. My wife and I, she's also does a little bit of found object stuff, and so our studio, it's really worked out well. We go second-handing, like where most couples go to, you know, whatever their passions are. They go hiking or whatever. Right. Our passion is second-handing. And oh, we love the city, and so we go to the second hands. You know, like we go to Vegas. We go to Vegas usually a couple times a year. Neither one of us gamble. Right. And we don't go on the strip. Right. We go second-handing. Nice. Vegas second hands.
I'll bet you could find anything there.
Fun.
Yeah.
There's so much weird stuff that comes out of the casinos and fixtures, and like, what is this? I don't know, but we need to put that in our car. Yeah. So and so just whatever we find laying around. We got a little saying that we use: if it's chrome, take it home. Exactly. we kind of did this online gallery thing. Retro Mod is our studio, and and my wife is Roswell, and then of course I go by the Robb Rocket. And as time goes on and we grow the studio, we're going to bring other artists in and kind of make it more of a gallery type thing, you know. Right. And so that's kind of what we do now, and it keeps us really busy, and you know.
And so it's called Retro Mod Studio.
Retro Mod Studio.
So at this point, is that kind of, is it a tangible thing right now? Is it an idea that's growing, or will it be a tangible, like there will be an actual studio called the Retro Mod Studio?
Yeah, we have an online gallery now, retromodstudio.com. Right. And then we have Retro Mod Studio, that's on Facebook, and it's a little easier for us to just get on and post our latest thing or whatever on the Retro Mod on Facebook.
You have a few different styles, actually, which is not all that normal for an artist, right? Typically people kind of pick a style, like you've got, you know, like your tiki style that you do, and it doesn't really fit with your other styles. It's like its own separate style, and you've got your I'm gonna call it, well, it's one thing that's influenced by another thing, so I'm gonna call it like influenced 50s, you know what I mean? Kind of
Yes.
that, because the 50s were influenced by space.
Yes.
And that's why all the shiny chrome and the shapes changed and the fins on the cars and all,
Yep.
you know, all that stuff started taking place because of like this obsession with space. So you've got that style that's kind of like, you know, kind of focuses on that, and then you've got your tiki style and
Yeah, I think I mostly I'm all over the place in my my concepts, and what happens is, and this is a non-stop thing, and it used to torture me, and now it's just a familiar friend.
right.
Is I get these ideas, and I can't let it go until I
Yeah.
sketch it,
Yeah.
and so many of those are literally the thumbnail, and it never turns into anything else.
Right.
And it's just like we were talking about, if you don't visit it, you forget about
Yeah,
it.
it goes
And
away.
I'll get an old sketch pad. I call it the back page. All my sketch pads, the back page to however long I use that sketch pad,
Right.
is full of little thumbnail sketches.
Right.
And I want to do this. I want to do this.
Right.
And many of them turn into actual, you know, I use a 9x12 sketch pad.
Okay.
And I'll actually fully ink the piece.
Right.
And I call it the bones, or that's my boneyard, is those pieces.
Right.
And a few of those pieces actually make it to a full-size painting.
Okay.
You know, so I will never experience artist block for that reason. Never.
It's all over the place, yeah.
In fact, sometimes I get kind of anxious because there's so much I want to do,
and you can't get to it
and
all.
I'll never
Yeah.
get to it all. If I was 300 years like Yoda, if I was like Yoda, I'd never get to all my stuff.
Right.
I have a show hanging at Three Rivers Brewery in the restaurant right now, and it's kind of the sci-fi scene.
Okay.
And the same day I took down a show at the mayor's office, and it was nothing but vintage drag racing.
Nice.
So it was literally two separate shows.
Yeah.
Could have been two separate artists.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So maybe for somebody that doesn't, like, every once in a while you run across a painting or whatever, and you're like, oh, that kind of looks like, you know, so and so, because we know so many
Yep.
different local artists, and you can recognize them by their style, and you really have to dig into you and who you are to be able to do that and think, oh, that looks like Robb Rocket, because
Right.
it could be like totally different. You go down the street, like it could be one artist, and then there's another. No, it's the same dude.
Yeah,
It's the same guy,
yeah.
just two totally different shows.
I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, maybe I should just pick one thing and stick to it. But I guess
Not if your brain's not telling
yeah,
you to do
I'm not
that.
wired that way. I don't think that would ever be able to happen.
That stifles creativity. If you're not inclined to do that,
Right.
just naturally, then don't.
I have a book that I write, do writings as well.
Okay.
They're kind of a personal, you know, humor. Like, I could probably do the stand-up comedy thing. Well, maybe I would think that was funny,
Right.
but, you know what I'm saying? But I actually do have a book that I've been writing in for years, and it's just little sayings, little things, you know, that I kind of try to live by, and some of it's not, some of it's junk, but, you know,
Yeah.
and those are fun too. But that's it. You just have to become comfortable with the concept that you're crazy to some degree. I mean, we all
Yeah.
are to some degree.
We all are, yeah.
And if you
Embrace your own.
embrace it
Yeah.
and learn how to manage it,
Yeah.
I guess it's just it just becomes part of who you are.
It's the thing that makes you who you are, and makes you unique.
Yep.
So it's your signature, your brand of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
People always say that to me, you know, I wish I could draw like you. And I'm like, yeah, but I wish I was as tall as you, or as good looking as you, or whatever. You know? But it's practiced. I can't practice being taller. You can learn to draw. You know? So I decided to take the challenge this afternoon. A cup of coffee and a white t-shirt on a camera.
With me driving.
Who does that? Roll.
Yeah. Roll.
Yeah,
Well, it was good chatting with you, brother.
heck yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to do it again.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.